What's up YouTube? My name is Sweat. Welcome back to another Apex Legends video. In today's video, we're going to be going over 20 plus tips that every Caustic player needs to know. Now, these tips are going to range from the most basic of the basic tips to some more advanced tips. So please don't be down in the comments saying these are pretty obvious, because I'm trying to cater to the most basic players, like I said, all the way to the more advanced players that are playing Caustic every single day when they hop onto the game. If you guys are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I do post a lot of tip videos, so if you're into that type of stuff, make sure to hit that sub button and like the video at the end if you did enjoy. Let's hop right into some tips that every Caustic player needs to know. So how I want to structure this video is talking about some basic understanding of how Caustic works, first of all, his passive, his tactical, his ultimate, and some other quick facts or tips that you guys can use. Then we're going to move on to his gas traps and then on to his ultimate, followed up at the end by just some little tidbits that I have to add on. So like I said, let's start off by understanding how Caustic works, okay? Tip number one is going to be his passive, and that is going to be his Nox vision. So he gains threat vision on enemies moving through your gas. That means you're going to be able to see through your gas, much like Bangalore would her smoke. You're going to be able to see through your gas way better than other players will on your team and the opposing team. And I'm going to include fortified in this passive here, and that is incoming damage reduced by 15%, and he is not slowed by bullets. That means Caustic can take 15% more damage than other legends can, and this is absolutely huge. If you guys pull your triggers at the exact same time with the exact same weapons, bolt hitting headshots, you're going to kill him if you're Caustic because you are taking more damage. Also, the fact that he's not slowed by bullets is absolutely huge. Usually when legends get shot by bullets, they're slowed down, their movements are slow, and that is why you see most prevalently, like when you're getting shot by the triple take, it looks like your movements are slowed, and that is because they actually are. Meanwhile, Caustics are not going to be slowed down, so that is a huge advantage for him. So next up is his tactical ability, and that's going to be his gas traps. Now these traps can be triggered by enemy movements, or you can actually shoot them, and this will give off a Nox gas that will disorient your enemies and slowly damage them over time. As for his ultimate ability, this is going to be his Nox gas grenade. Now once you do throw this gas grenade, it's going to create a large blanket of gas around a certain area of the map. It does have similar effects as the gas traps, as it will disorient your enemies and slow them down and do damage to them over time. You most likely will see this used to clear enemies out of buildings and escape buildings if you have a Caustic on your team. So one more thing I want to mention before I start talking about some gas trap tips for you guys is that other Caustics can see through your gas, and they're not actually affected at all by it. So what I mean by this is you always want to prioritize other Caustics on enemy teams before going after other enemies if you have your gas traps or your Nox gas down, because like I said, they're not getting affected by it, they're not getting hit by it. So while other enemies are stuck outside of buildings and getting hit by your gas and not being able to see, Caustics can see right through it, and they're going to be gunning for your team. If you're not careful, they're going to end up knocking you, and it's going to be a disaster if you're not paying careful attention to them. So starting it off with the gas trap tips over here, we have, you can put down up to 6 traps at once. So remember to use them all if you're in a final circle or if you're in a building. This can come in really handy in fortifying areas. So I was actually in a Predator lobby the other day with my buddy, and he didn't even know that you could put 6 traps down at once, so we ended up dying. He thought you can only put 3 down at once without the other ones disappearing, and that's just not true. There's just a cooldown time between the first 3, and then you get 1 every 10 seconds, I believe. So remember to use all 6 traps. Like I said, if you're at the end of a game or you're in a building that has multiple doors, make sure to fortify the area. Make sure to put down as many as possible, because you're going to want as much cover as you can possibly get. Next one goes along with my last tip, and that is going to be placing traps in buildings to block off every door. Now if you guys didn't know already, this is a pretty basic tip. You can actually post up traps behind doors, and it will prevent them from opening. Once the door does hit the Caustic trap, it will set the trap off, so just keep that in mind. Have a spare one ready to throw at the door once that one goes away, so enemies can't get in. But if you do end up blocking off every door in the building, there's absolutely no way the enemies can get in, so that is a very good option. The only way is if they are going to throw an arc star at you and break the door down, and even then it's going to be really tough for the enemies to see in the building regardless. Now, as for traps that aren't in the buildings, make sure to keep these other traps hidden so enemies won't expect them. Let's say you're getting chased by a squad and you're having to run away, right? You can place traps where enemies won't expect them, so they have to set them off in order to follow you. And this will discombobulate them. This will distract them for a little bit while you get set up, while you get healed, or let's say your team's waiting on the other side of the gas traps. This will give your team a clear advantage, and like I said, the enemies will be disoriented, so this is going to really help you guys out. Now, this will also prevent enemies from easily dodging the traps. That's not what you want. This is why we want to keep them hidden, guys. Now, this is a little tip for people that are going against caustics, whether it's any other legend of the game or another caustic facing a caustic, and that is going to be shooting the bottom of the traps and they will disappear without even activating. Now, this does not work if the trap is already activated, of course, so you're going to have to wait the full 10 to 15 seconds or whatever it is while the gas trap is going off. But if you do end up seeing one that's not set off, make sure to shoot the bottom yellow part, and this will prevent any gas from spewing out of it. Now, that leads me into this next tip, and that's going to be placing traps where enemies can't easily shoot the bottom. Whether this is behind doors or behind little rocks in the map, make sure to place them in these certain spots so that the enemy can't easily disable these traps without letting any gas go. Another thing that you guys can do is actually shoot the trap and sit behind it for cover reasons. That is also a good way to use these traps, and obviously after the trap is activated, like I said, enemies can't shoot out the bottom. This is what you want as a caustic main. You always want smoke around you. You never want to be caught right in the wide open, so keep this tip in mind and use it wisely. Next up is placing traps after killing a squad in case of the third party. Now, we all hate getting third partied. Right after we kill the team, we're low on health. The other team comes in and shoots us once and we're dead, right? Well, let's go ahead and place traps all around the area that we just killed the team so that we can actually loot the boxes. If Caustic wants to, he can even shoot his traps like I said in the last tip, and this will make it very hard for enemies to see you, or throw his ultimate down so you guys can loot easier. And this is just going to make it very hard for enemies to see you, and if they do want to end up looting those boxes, they're going to either have to set off the traps or fight through the smoke, and that gives Caustic a huge advantage. Now we have using traps when looting boxes. Now this is just a little bit different from the last tip. Now I'm just talking about when boxes are laying around in the middle of the map and nobody is around. You didn't just kill a squad. This is just looting boxes in general. This will just give you some cover if you shoot the gas traps, or at least place them around like I said in the last tip, so that enemies have a hard time getting to the loot if they want to do so. Make sure to place your traps at the end of zip lines. This can be extremely crucial if you guys have high ground, you have a caustic and a pathfinder on your team, or you're just playing the end of a zip line onto some high ground. Make sure to place those gas traps where the enemies cannot see them. That way they either jump right onto the high ground and fall right off because they're too scared to take damage, or they're going to try to fight through it and take damage, and most likely end up dying to the caustic on your team because he has an extreme advantage in seeing through the gas. Now, the last trap tip is if you are stuck in the open with caustic. We all know this is a terrible situation to be in, but try making a wall with your traps really quickly if you have no cover at all. This will give you a good head glitch, and if you put them close enough together, enemies will not be able to shoot you through them. So this can be used very, very effectively. Once they actually do shoot the gas traps or try to shoot your body, they will end up setting them off, and that gives you, the caustic, an even bigger of an advantage when fighting these teams. Even if you guys have one trap to sit behind, do it, because it's going to give you more cover than if you're just trying to strafe out in the wide open. Next, we're going to go over some tips that you can use the Nox gas with, and the first one being that it almost acts as a Bangalore smoke. If you throw CAUSTIC'S ultimate down, we all know his passive is that he can see through smoke easier, and a lot like Bangalore, when she uses her tactical ability, you can shoot the gas or throw the gas on the ground and see very clearly. This is going to give a huge advantage to Caustic mains, and other enemies, like I said earlier, will be disoriented and discombobulated, and you can get some easy kills with Caustic this way. Next up is holding off choke points with the Nox gas. Let's say you're on a cliff or something and an enemy is rotating in from zone, or if you're not on a cliff, let's just say an enemy is rotating in from zone. Throw this Nox gas and it covers a wide area, so be ready to see your opponents choking on the gas, running out of the zone. They're going to be taking so much damage, it's unreal, with the gas and the zone piling up on each other, plus you guys raining down bullets on the teams. It's going to be very tough, so make sure you guys know where you're rotating and have CAUSTIC'S ultimate ready at all times for this gas out. So next we have placing traps or the Nox gas on down enemies to prevent revives. This is especially useful in the ranked game mode. Once you down an enemy, you definitely don't want enemies to keep getting up, especially because you want those assist points or those kill points in the ranked game mode in order to gain RP. Try, once downing an enemy, try throwing your gas traps on them or the Nox gas, and this will basically kill them instantly. This will prevent them from getting out of it. There's no way an enemy is going to crawl all the way out of your gas if you throw it directly on them. So this can be insanely useful in getting you some extra RP, or just making sure the down enemy ends up getting finished off and you get the kill for it. So contrary to popular belief, using the traps or the Nox gas can really help you guys respawn and revive teammates. Let's say you guys are at a respawn beacon and a team is pushing you, but you really want to get your teammates up. Just throw your Nox gas or throw your traps down, end up shooting them, and you'll have some good cover to respawn your teammate at the beacon. Or let's say you guys are reviving in a building and a team is pushing you. This is going to give you good enough cover to get your teammates up, get them back into the fight. Just keep in mind, the gas will end up affecting your teammates if they are close enough, so that is one thing to keep in your head. Next thing is tossing gas into rooms to evacuate enemies. Now this can be either used to evacuate enemies or push enemies into certain areas if the gas is placed correctly. Let's say you guys need some loot and there are boxes in a room that enemies are sitting in. Throw your gas grenade in there. It will easily clear them out, should result in some quick kills for you guys, and will get you guys the loot that you need. Or if an enemy is sitting outside of your building while you're looting, this will give you a little more time to end up getting the stuff that you need, and then you can actually go out and end up killing that team. Now, using your traps or the Nox gas plus your grenades is going to be crucial in getting kills with Caustic. When you have a guy trapped or with the gas, he's going to be disoriented, discombobulated. We've gone over this multiple times already, but they're going to be moving a lot slower than they normally would, and that's the main thing. You can end up tossing arc stars, thermites, whatever you have at these guys, and they're going to burn like crazy. They're going to burn, or they're going to get hit by the arc star. They're going to take a ton of damage. This can easily lead to some knocks for you guys, so just keep that in mind. Use it wisely. Make sure to stack up on those grenades while you're playing Caustic for these exact scenarios. Lastly, some quick little tips about Caustic that you guys might not know and just to keep in mind while playing him. If you guys use Caustic and WATTSON, whether it's in ranked or public matches, I prefer to use this combo in ranked because it gets a lot sweatier and you need to lock down buildings more in ranked. But using both of these legends, Caustic and WATTSON, once again, this is extremely toxic, okay? You guys can block off buildings like no other combo in the game, and basically enemies aren't going to be able to get in if you play your cards right. If you guys have the WATTSON ultimate down and the Caustic gas traps down, it's basically a wrap. they're just going to end up running away from your building. So this is how to get some easy placement in those ranked matches, or if you guys are trying to get top 5s in pubs, this will help you too. Last thing I do want to mention is that teammates actually do end up getting affected by Caustic's traps and his ultimate ability. That is one side effect of playing him, and most of the time your teammates are going to complain about it, especially in ranked mode. When I've used Caustic in the past, they'll complain about not being able to see, and I totally understand this. I really think they should change this and make it so that your teammates aren't affected. But it kind of makes sense in a way, because I wouldn't want a Pathfinder slinging on me, not getting affected by gas while I'm over here choking and I can't even move, you know what I mean? I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to leave a fat thumbs up and subscribe if you're new. Like I said earlier in the video, I post tips every once in a while, so stick around for more of those. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and peace out.